Hey everyone, I know it's been a little while. I was sick in the month of October. I was meaning to come back and make videos regularly, and that just didn't happen because I got some kind of respiratory virus. I do not know if it was the COVID. The test said negative, but I am suspicious. But either way, it was not good. So there wasn't a lot of videos in October, but I'm planning to get back on track this month. And I thought I would start with a video of the different tarot decks and oracle decks that I'm going to be using for the month of November. So if you are on my Patreon, these are the decks that you're going to see for the weekly Taroscope videos. And if you get a reading from me, you'll probably get a reading from this deck, unless it's like a reading that specifically uses another deck. So first of all, I wanted to start with the tarot deck I'm going to be using this month. I have it here in this black bag. And it is the Raven's Prophecy Tarot. Now, I'm finding that I keep going back to kind of some of the same decks. And this has been my November deck for, I know I used it last year, and I think I might have used it the year before. I just have a really strong association with this in like late fall, early winter. Where I live, if fall, like all the leaves are kind of off the trees at this point. And at some point in November, it's going to snow and stay. But that's because I live on the Canadian prairies, so we have a long winter. And I have an association with this, I think because the black makes me think of like how it's getting dark so early now. And then the orange from the trees, there's like, the odd leaf left and, all the fall colors. And this kind of has a very like sparse and like dark sort of aesthetic to it. We've got all these crows on this deck in the cups. We've got the cups suit, which has a lot of crows. And this time of year, a lot of the birds have gone. We're kind of left with the crows. And so I just have this really strong association with this deck, with this time of year. And I don't know much about the book that this deck is based on, but I do know that, this isn't usually my kind of aesthetics, but I felt called to this deck and I'm really enjoying using it this time of year. We've got some creepy stuff here, like this mask for the devil. Very apt, though. The coins all have flowers. I love the page of coins here with just this, it's just this little sprout coming up. I love the simplicity of this deck. I'm not somebody that usually likes minimalist type decks, but there's something about the black background and the minimalist concepts in some of these, the hands and things that just sort of, the starkness of this sort of really speaks to me. And at the same time, it's got a colorfulness too. So the swords have hands. Got temperance here. There's lots of fire as well, which makes me think of this time of year with like bonfires and fireplaces and candles and all of that. A lot of the wands have fire. The Emperor here. I won't go through them all, but I want to give you an idea of kind of the aesthetic of this deck. Now we've got the tower with the big bonfire. I like this Wheel of Fortune with like the different seasons on them. I think that's really beautiful. Hangman. Again, lots of, I guess the ravens, not crows, but I think of crows. Swords. I wanted to find, coins are all plants. Cups are crows. The wands are fire and the swords are hands. But like to me, this just really speaks of this time of year with it getting dark early and lighting candles. But we're not quite in the holiday season yet. So it's got a kind of this dark kind of starkness to this that I really like for this time of year. And I'm pairing that with, when I do readings, I pair it with a Lenormand or some kind of cartomancy. And I'm pairing it with the Mystical Lenormand. I like using this time of year. It's got a medieval storybook kind of vibe to it. To me, I think it still speaks to this time of year. I like the angels on the back. It's very medieval. There's something, again, I like, sort of the medieval nature of this particular deck. I think it pairs really well with the cards, with the Raven's Prophecy. Go. And it's very straightforward. Like, it's a very easy read. Lenormand, and that's what you want, and it's not too big, nice and small. I enjoy that. And then the Oracle deck that I'm pairing it with, as I drop things, is the Viking Oracle. So this pairs really well with the Raven's Prophecy, I find. Again, I have an association with this deck in this time of year just because it is getting colder. we're going to start to get snow at some point. And so, of course, I associate it with like Nordic type things. You know, it's dark, it's cold, and I think it just pairs really well. It has like, again, it's kind of like masculine type energy to it as well, this starkness to it. So it has runes in it. Like we've got Ansas here. We've got this rune. There's another one there. Let's see if we can get, they've also got concepts like the void that are in Norse mythology, Ragnarok. I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but Yggdrasil, the world tree. Again, we've got more. We've got Valkyries. I'm looking for here, they also have some gods and goddesses in here in the Nordic tradition. And they've got a really great book with this as well. So this is Stacey DeMarco, and who wrote the guard book? Jimmy Manton is the artist, I think. Yeah. So we got Bacano. You can see it's got that very kind of superhero type of art to it, but it does have like, it is very Nordic for sure. Oh, there's Manny. They've got some of the other goddesses here. They've got Freya. So it's a really nice deck to work with, I think, at this time of year, and pairs really well with the Raven's Prophecy Tarot. So I use that. Another oracle deck that I'm using right now is, we have the Deep, Dark, and Dangerous Oracle. So this is a newer oracle that came out, and I think it's really good for this time of year because, again, we're in that darker time of year. I do like to use like a god or goddess deck when I'm doing readings. And so I love the lovely snake there. It just speaks to this time of year, like kind of to that November, October, kind of love the red gilding on there and the backs with the snake. So we've got all sorts of gods, goddesses, mythological figures that are associated with kind of like scary or like underworld or the deep subconscious. It's got like Kali here, Minotaur, Shadow, Circe, got the Erinyes. So lots of different, you know, mythologies. We've got stuff here from, you know, both sort of the Western world. We've got like, you know, Greek, obviously, and we've got some Nordic and Celtic, but, you know, ones from other parts of the world too, which is really great. The fetch, things from like witchcraft. There's some Celtic one. All sorts. I think this goes really, really well with the other two as well, because we're dealing with like kind of darker themed type decks at this time of year. And then for my own personal use, I don't use these in readings for others. I like to have an affirmation deck. And in the fall, I have the wisdom cards. I think because of the orange and the red, like red, yellow here, that that's why I associate this deck with this time of year. But it's just nice. I'll pick one for the week to work with. Like this one, I was working with my own unique self. My employment. What was this one say? Some of them are upside down. I'm taking the next step for my healing. I'm good enough. So just some like really, really nice, just saying some things. This is the Louise Hay deck. It's a fairly older deck, but I know you can still get it. It's just a really nice deck to work with. And I always like to use an affirmation deck just for my own personal use. So that's what I'm working with this month. You know, for my reading. So again, if you would like to get a personal reading from me, yeah, I have my links below to my Etsy shop. I also have my tarot scopes that I do every week on my Patreon, if that's something that you're interested in, and you'll see these decks there. Let me know what you think of these decks. Do you have them? What are you working with in November? What are your thoughts on them? I would love to hear. Let me know what you're working with. And again, thank you so much for watching.